Hi guys, today I'm back with another Oily Skin Diaries foundation review. It is all about something highly requested today. I myself was also super curious about this because not only does it claim to be matte, but it's pretty cheap. The LA Colors Truly Matte Foundation. And as always, I will have timestamps down below that kind of guide you through the review, all the shades that I wear in some more popular foundations, along with a blog post that has swatches comparing the shades that I have versus some more popular shades if you're trying to figure out what shade you are. Also, this video is a collaboration with my friend Aisha. I've mentioned her a million times before. She's the most gorgeous inside and out, beautiful, and just super fun YouTuber. I will have her review linked down below. She's about an NC 50 at MAC, I believe, if I remember properly, and she has a more normal, leaning, sometimes dry skin type. So if you're looking for a different shade or a different kind of opinion from somebody else of a different skin type, then her review will be linked down below. And she does great lifestyle stuff, lookbooks, beautiful makeup tutorials, and you know, sometimes like when you see someone on YouTube and you're like, wow, they're gorgeous, like, but do they look like that in person? Every time I see her in person, I'm like disgusted by her beauty. So I will link to her channel down below. Be sure to go send her some love, but let's go ahead and get started. So the LA Colors Truly Matte Foundation is fairly new, launched sometime late last year, and I was super curious to check this out. So I hopped on the LA Colors website only to see that shipping to Canada was $25. So that kind of held me back a little bit. Then I saw it was listed on the Kate House website, so I decided to jump on it there. Aisha and I actually split an order, and if you're Canadian, I recommend finding a beauty bud so that you can split orders. The Kate House website, the more you spend, the higher your shipping. If you live in the United States, it's free shipping over $49. So we purchased these. I also purchased a few other LA Colors things that you'll see coming up, and I believe this retailed for $4.99. It's actually currently out of stock and doesn't seem to be anywhere on the Kate House website just yet, but keep your eyes peeled there. And we did not incur any customs either at the door, but that of course is going to vary person to person. I can't guarantee that. This comes in 14 different shades. From what I can tell of the kind of little shade squares, it looks like a decent range. It's really hard for me to tell where I've never seen it in person, but as I mentioned, Aisha is an NC 50, so we will be able to see how that matches her skin tone. I have two different shades here today. I did use this in a Get Ready With Me, which I will link to down below, and I solely used the shade Cafe, but I think I'm gonna mix in a little bit of Warm Honey today because I've definitely lost a lot of color. My body is quite a bit deeper than the rest of my face. I am going to prime this half of my face, and I will be using a brush for application. That's my preferred method, and we will see how it wears throughout the day. So let's go ahead and get into application. So as you'll see, I have some hormonal breakouts. We'll see how this covers it up. I did about a pump of each and mix them together, and this actually comes with 1.35 fluid ounces, which is awesome. That's actually more than the average size of a foundation, and it's super affordable. And it has a pump on it, which is always nice to see, makes it a little bit easier for me. It's definitely my preferred kind of bottle format, so definitely a really good deal if you do end up enjoying this foundation. If you were able to pick it up somewhere else, let us know down below, because sometimes products like this are a little bit harder to get your hands on. I definitely, in Canada anyways, for sure. So this blends out really nicely. It has a really thick consistency, like really thick, and it has a bit of a smell as well. It doesn't smell scented. It smells like they didn't cover up the scent that was in there. It doesn't smell great. I'm not super sensitive to things like that. And as you can see, it is quite matte on my skin. It doesn't say a whole lot about it on the website. I'm going to build it up ever so slightly on my kind of problem area here, but it just says that it's a high pigment foundation, long lasting, and it is a liquid to kind of a powdery matte finish. I can see this being the kind of foundation, a similar consistency to the Becca Ultimate Coverage Complexion Cream, one of those foundations that can potentially get patchy if you have a drier skin type or any texture. Like I know I have some texture on my skin right now, just like blending is really important. You may want to try a sponge as well, or something like spray your face with like kind of a moisturizing spray just to ensure that things are moving around nicely and blending nicely. I'm not having any issues right now, but it's just something to keep in mind. So I've built the foundation up to about a medium coverage. I do think it looks good on my skin. I definitely prefer the primed side over the unprimed side. My face looks more smooth because it does have that more velvety matte finish. I think that if you have any issues with pores or any kind of texture on your skin, it may actually be a little bit enhanced. I definitely have a lot of kind of hormonal breakouts on my skin right now. Some of them are really small little bumps, some of them are more big active breakouts. makeups, and I definitely don't feel like this is doing them any favors. Although I do have an oily skin type, I have been enjoying going slightly more, not dewy, but just a little more moisturized and hydrated, because it does kind of smooth the look and not necessarily emphasize any of the texture on my skin. That being said, I don't think that it looks bad. I'm happy with the color match of those two mixed together. I think that the Cafe on its own definitely would have been a little bit too dark, and I think that it looks good on my skin. It has a really velvety finish. If you have a normal to dry skin type, I don't think you'd necessarily need to set this. I'm going to set it because I do have oily skin, and I set every single thing that touches my face. So I'm gonna go take some flash photos and I'll be right back. I have the rest of my makeup on now, and I'm really liking the way that things look. Everything I'm wearing on my face will be listed down below, but sometimes it just takes a little bronzer, blush, lipstick to really pull it all together. At first I was a little unsure. This isn't a first impression, but it's the first time that I'm really taking like a close look at it, and sometimes it's hard to look good when you're just wearing a foundation and absolutely nothing else on your face. While we're talking about that, let's chat about the flash photo test. I think that things performed quite well. In just here in my regular kind of like studio lighting, I thought that it looked good. It is quite matte on the skin. There's a slight sheen on the cheekbones, but very little demi-matte to matte finish for sure. Then when I did the flash photo test, I thought it looked good. It's not a completely dark room, but it's as close to dark as I can get it. And I thought that it looked good. It maybe looked a little more cool than the rest of my body, but it definitely didn't have any white cast. It doesn't list as having any SPF in there either. So it looked good, but it definitely did look a little bit flat on my skin, but that is to be expected from a matte foundation when you have absolutely nothing else on your face. So far it's looking really good. I personally wouldn't build this up to like a fuller coverage. I have it at about a medium. I find if I force a coverage of a foundation, that sometimes it tends to get a little more oily on my skin, and because I do have these breakouts, it's not as easy for me to get to like a full coverage look, because if you have flawless skin and you put foundation on top of it, it's probably gonna look like full coverage. So I got it to about a medium, definitely a lighter medium, nothing super heavy, and it doesn't feel heavy on my skin. Feels incredibly lightweight considering how thick of a formula it is. So I'm gonna go ahead about my day, and I will check back with you in some natural lighting. It's time for my midday check-in. I've had the foundation on for quite some time now, and I normally don't do my check-in this late, but I'm actually heading out the door, so I didn't want to blot until I had to, because I only wanted to do one blot. So definitely some oiliness in the center of my face. I was wearing a scarf earlier, and I feel like I've gotten a little bit of wear around here, but otherwise I don't really feel super oily. It doesn't look super oily on my skin either, which is nice, and it doesn't look like it has oxidized either. So I'm just gonna do a little toilet paper blotting. It's my preferred method, and there's almost no transfer, surprisingly. So I am going to just put some more powder on my face, and I am going to use a powder foundation, but with a little bit of a fluffier brush. I just kind of want to build up that coverage because I do need to leave the house and look presentable. Overall, I think it looks good. I don't think it looks like super fresh on my skin, but it looks good. If I had the choice, I would definitely spray my face down with like a setting spray or some kind of moisture mist. Not that it's dry on my skin, like I have oily skin, but it just doesn't look super fresh. But yeah, I think it looks good. The oil control itself is holding up quite well, so I'll check back with you in a few hours. I am back. It is the end of the day, and I am looking and feeling haggard. I just got caught in like a snowstorm pretty much, so this foundation has been really put to the test. I've been in and out of the house a bunch today, wearing a scarf. My nose was running because it was cold, and my whole head had like a pile of snow on it because I was walking outside for like 15 minutes, and then on top of that I was getting like snowflakes blown in my face, and I think that it did pretty good. My overall thought on this foundation is that I kind of wish I was wearing something else today, because I did have two, not important events, but I had PR events where I'm face to face with people representing myself as a beauty YouTuber, and I was like, my skin could definitely look better. And this is why I do not test out foundations generally on the days that I have other things on the go. I see a lot of people doing this, and I'm like, I don't have the skin for that. That being said, my skin, I'm just gonna blot a little bit. The oil control is not bad, I will say that. That being said, my skin is kind of in a bad place right now. I have a lot of texture. It's just my skin is very unhappy. So it's a little bit tough. I have worn this foundation a few times, and every time I've worn it, I've done it different applications, different primers, different amounts of the actual foundation on my face, and it's been good, but it definitely hasn't blown me away by any means. There are so many other foundations I would have rather reached for today, so I will have links down below for some of my favorite foundations if you are curious. I do prefer the primed side over the unprimed side, and the texture really does remind me of the Becca Ultimate Coverage Complexion Cream, which has that thick almost hard to work with texture, but at the end it really does give a beautiful, flawless finish to the skin, both in person and on camera, and I don't feel like I got there with this. It felt a little bit difficult to blend, and then I did get a nice finish, but it definitely didn't enhance my skin. It was just kind of like makeup. I don't know, does that not make sense? It's a little bit hard for me to put it into words, but you know, sometimes you put on a foundation and it's not only just doing like a covering of the things you want covered on your face, it's making you look smooth, it's making your skin look healthier, and I don't really feel like this did that. I liked the color match on my skin, and it definitely did a pretty good job with oil control, I will say that, but the texture is a little bit off for me. The way it wore, I'm definitely quite patchy around this part of my face. That being said, I was wearing a scarf, it was snowing a lot, so I can't completely ding it for that. And I found when I did wear quite a bit more on my face to really build up that coverage, as you would have seen in my Get Ready With Me using this foundation, it definitely got quite oily a little bit faster. So, but I find that with the majority of foundations as well, the more I put on my face, the more likely it is to get oily. So it is a little bit tricky to blend out. Overall, I think it's okay. It's not my favorite. I will continue to play around with a little bit more, and you'll see it in an upcoming, in like 2 or 3 months probably, what foundations am I still using. I'll give it some more time to see when my skin is acting a little bit more appropriately. But anyways, be sure to go check out Aisha's review. I'm super curious to see how it's going to work out for her. She has a bit of a different skin type, and she definitely has less texture on her skin, so I feel like perhaps this could be a good one for her. So I'm curious to check it out. I will link to her down below, and if you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat at Samantha Jane YT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!